The word that describes 2020 is uncertainty. I know a lot of people had to think about what really mattered to them.
Possibly some things we've learned is that the old normal wasn't necessarily a good normal.
I've been participating in contact tracing for the university, and that's been really rewarding to be able to apply my education directly to the community.
I'm studying public health to help those who are in vulnerable communities improve their health.
I think it's really powerful knowing that I'm looking out at the changed world with all the inequities, but I know that myself and my peers are all going into this field to address them.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Du Bois Bowman, and it is my privilege to serve as the Dean of the School of Public Health. I am also a proud alumnus of the school, having earned my master's degree in biostatistics here just a handful of years ago. While the past year brought unprecedented challenges, I am delighted to have reached graduation season and to be able to celebrate the extraordinary class of 2021. Tonight, we have graduates along with family and friends in attendance from all across the world. And I'd like to thank you for being here so that we can recognize the achievements of our graduates. Graduates, today we honor you. We celebrate your accomplishments and we look forward to the contributions you'll make to the field of public health and beyond. Our commencement event concludes a student's course of study, as degrees are bestowed upon those who have completed graduation requirements. But the word commencement also signals the beginning of your public health journeys. So while tonight may feel like the end, it really marks a new beginning, and I hope that you will embrace it as such. Graduates, I think it's important to acknowledge that this isn't the way you pictured your graduation. Watching on a screen with distance between you and your fellow classmates, to me, it feels a bit surreal. We're now into year 2 of the pandemic, and we've experienced so much change and encountered so many challenges. But as much as it may feel like the pandemic has defined your experience during your time in school, I submit that deepening your public health training during a pandemic will serve as a defining period and add a certain clarity to your education that you will draw upon from years to come. I'd also suggest that your experience in public health during this time has defined your response to the pandemic. Since last March, I've seen public health students step up and serve in significant and impressive ways. I've witnessed you use your public health training to serve communities and address the pandemic locally, within our state, across the country, and throughout the globe. You have led contact tracing efforts on campus, contributed to mathematical models used by health officials to manage the pandemic, helped the Michigan State Youth Soccer Association develop a plan for reopening, and so much more. You've also used your voices and training to advance racial justice and health equity, both within the school and in our work externally. And you've done all of this while adjusting to new modes of learning and while balancing a host of different responsibilities. I know that it hasn't been easy. And I'd like to acknowledge the incredible commitment and perseverance you've displayed in carrying out our school's mission. You have pursued a healthier world, and you have done so with compassion, innovation, and through inclusive excellence. In public health, we give the best of ourselves for those who we may never meet. Your time in school is proof of that. You came to Michigan Public Health because you understood the power and value of public health. And over the past year and a half, the world has learned what you already knew. Public health is critical, and it has the power to improve the health and well-being of people across the globe. And now you are part of that potential. You've been equipped with knowledge, tools, and practice to positively affect change. You're ready to take your next steps as public health leaders, and the world needs you now more than ever. Graduates, you began your studies at Michigan Public Health with an idea of a better future and the determination to help build it. We are grateful and honored you chose to begin that important work with us, and now it is our turn to imagine the better world that you will build. This evening, we're celebrating 550 graduates. This includes 28 students graduating in the first ever cohort of our fully online program, Population and Health Sciences. You will all join a group of alumni who are leaders across the world in public health and beyond. With the class of 2021, our alumni base will now eclipse 17,000 people. You are joining a truly impactful community. Now our graduates will fan out across the globe, taking on leadership roles in government agencies, in healthcare settings, in the private sector, and on the front lines of public health practice, just to name a few. We are proud you will be representing the University of Michigan School of Public Health in all of your future endeavors. It is now my distinct honor to introduce our commencement speaker, an exemplary leader and change agent, and a proud University of Michigan alumnus. His work demonstrates how the unique combination of ingenuity, optimism, and relentless drive can create positive impact for people. We are pleased to be joined this evening by the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Michigan, Garland Gilchrist II. His pursuit of excellence has taken him from Microsoft to Barack Obama's first presidential campaign, to the city of Detroit, and now to the second highest elected post in our state. His focus has long been on problem solving and serving the public. His work more recently has taken him to the intersection of health and policy in his role as chair of the state's coronavirus task force on racial disparities. We are delighted to have him address our graduates. Welcome, Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist, and thank you.
Hello, I'm Garland Gilchrist II, the Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Michigan. I am deeply honored and humbled to be joining you all for the University of Michigan School of Public Health 2021 commencement ceremony. There is not a more important grouping of graduating students to address at this moment in our lives and in our history than each and every one of you. Before I begin, I would be remiss to not acknowledge everyone who has come together for this momentous day to take place. While today feels different, so many people came together to make this ceremony a reality, even in these unprecedented times. I also want to thank University of Michigan President Schlissel for his leadership and commitment to education, science, and service during this pandemic. And I also want to thank the School of Public Health Dean Bowman for the invitation and for his stewardship of this important set of responsibilities to run this school at this moment in time. I want to acknowledge the faculty and staff for challenging students while adapting to a completely virtual landscape. Parents, family members, and student supporters for supporting the students throughout these unprecedented times. And last but certainly not least, students, for your never-ending perseverance and passion. I am proud every day to say that my alma mater is the University of Michigan. I was a double engineering major. During my 5 years on campus, I did it all. Walked the diag, all-nighters in the Duderstadt Center, which way back then in 2005 when I graduated was called the Media Union, Big Ten burritos, Pizza House, season tickets in the student section at the stadiums, and intramural basketball, which I won several times. But in your case, those memories were cut short when the presence of this coronavirus was confirmed here in Michigan. All of our lives changed on that day, March 10th, 2020. Classes went from in-person to online. Study groups went from meeting in the library to Zoom. But thankfully, Zingerman still had takeout. Despite the world turning upside down, you never lost your focus on your goals. You continued to learn what protecting public health truly means, and you saw those practices implemented in real life, in real time. Today, your goal of graduation has become a reality. And as you sit here and reflect on your own experiences, I want you to remember this. The words public health have new meaning today. Members of the general public have a deeper understanding of these words when paired with one another. You are about to be on the front lines, defending and supporting and expanding and promoting how to improve and protect our collective public health. You have been living and learning through a crisis unlike anything any of us have ever lived or led through. This pandemic has highlighted that there is still so much work to do, and you are ready for this work. You chose this field because you want to help the public. I would even go so far to say that the reverse is also true. This field and this moment has chosen you. Today, you punctuate this chapter of your story and begin writing your next act. The past 13 months have put into focus what public health truly means. I would bet that just a few years ago, when you told your loved ones you were interested in studying public health, they probably didn't fully understand what that meant. You got a lot of blank stares. They probably said, oh, is that like med school? A couple of times too. But in 2021, your career choice has taken on a whole new meaning. Public health professionals are now some of the most watched and respected figures in American life. The coronavirus has given even more clarity to just how important public health is. Public health is the cornerstone of healthy lives and healthy communities. The University of Michigan School for Public Health has been a critical component of the state of Michigan's fight against COVID-19. Early on in this pandemic, Governor Gretchen Whitmer and I recognized that we needed to gather the best minds from all walks of life to respond to every aspect of this virus's impact on our lives. It has been such a gift for us to be in regular, multiple times per week communication with the entire faculty and staff at this school. You have all been with us every step of the way around the clock. You have helped guide us. You have helped answer difficult questions. The collaboration between your school and other units of the university, like the School of Information and the College of Engineering, and other public health experts in Michigan and around the world is the reason that Michigan's response to this global pandemic has had the impact that it's had. Our administration used a similar approach when it came to forming the Michigan Coronavirus Task Force on Racial Disparities, which I chair. We followed a model of partnership and collaboration, recognizing that valuable contributions come from all forms of expertise and a diverse array of perspectives. It was clear that if we only spoke with epidemiologists, we couldn't create a complete picture of what was going on with our families, with our communities. I knew my own personal experience from a year ago, when it felt like every time my phone vibrated, it was a message or a call about someone else in my life contracting or dying from COVID-19. I wanted to know how COVID-19 impacted daily life and why it was disproportionately impacting the Black community, the city of Detroit, and other communities of color. So we reached out to teachers, to labor leaders, to parents, to professionals young and more experienced, hospital system representatives, students, and a whole lot of other people. Our task force pulled from these different facets of our community and therefore was able to not leave people out of the conversation. As you move forward into your career, remember this emphasis on collaboration. which the University of Michigan is known for. Under normal circumstances, our rivalry with our neighbor to the south even is as strong as ever. But during the pandemic, it was partnership that helped us save lives. Our administration was able to share information with the governor of Ohio, and in return, we were able to receive valuable information from the Cleveland Clinic. It is important to go wherever you can to find good information that will better inform the choices that we all have to make. Remember that when everyone has an empowered seat at the table, the impact will be exponentially greater. Because of the unique makeup of our Racial Disparities Task Force, we not only saved lives, but we took recommendations and theories and put them immediately into action. Detroiters saw mobile clinics arrive for testing and now vaccinations. Our task force isn't just a theoretical experiment. It was designed to include every voice and implement real actions, real change, and do so right now. Just like I know that all of you will do. I firmly believe that when you step out into the world of public health, you will do everything in your power to exponentially improve that public health, especially during times of crisis. So as you prepare for that next step in your career, know that you all have been learning and training within an actual public health crisis. You are battle tested. You saw the problems and you started thinking through real solutions. You're part of a public university at this time, which has dramatically contributed to the protection of public health. You've become a professional during the most extraordinary time in the history of public health in this country. I firmly believe that because of this, you will be able to make a more profound impact. You've been living through history, and today you'll become a key player in making history going forward. You became and will continue to be a part of combating COVID-19 and saving lives. I want to leave you all with this, a challenge from me to you. You have all lived through one of the most horrific and challenging times in our nation's history when it comes to public health. You've gone through that and you've come out on the other side with even more drive and a deeper desire to help, which means that you have passed the tests. You are ready. You have been equipped differently because of these times. You have unique knowledge. And because of that, I want you to think differently. I need you to be bold. Be a more bold thinker. Be a more bold practitioner. Be a more bold collaborator. Be bold because when that next challenge hits, you will have to hit back even harder. The good news is that you can and you will. You are better because of what you have been through. Go use that experience. Don't run from it. Don't waste it. Today, you join our frontline heroes. Today, you stand tall proudly for the University of Michigan and for our state. Today, you start to be unapologetically bold for the greater good. Today, you give new meaning to the words of public health. Now go make and embody the Michigan difference. Thank you so much for having me here to be part of this celebration. And thank you for your service today, yesterday, and most importantly, going forward. Go Blue.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for those inspirational words. I'm confident your message will stay with our graduates for years to come. Thank you for your time, for all you're doing for the citizens of our state, and for your efforts to give back to the University of Michigan. Each year at graduation, we take a few moments to recognize some of the individuals who have enriched our school community over the past year. Throughout the ceremony, we'll recognize 5 individuals for their outstanding contributions. I'd like to begin now with 3 of those awards. We'll start with the Student Leader of the Year award. In a school like ours, which requires collaboration and interdisciplinary work, leadership comes in many forms. I will now turn it over to Angela Beck, Associate Dean for Student Engagement and Practice, to recognize our Student Leader of the Year.
Thank you, Dean Bowman. I'm honored to recognize the recipient of our annual Student Leader of the Year Award, Peyton Watt, a master's student in epidemiology and health management and policy. As president of our Health Policy Student Association, or HPSA, Peyton led numerous initiatives, including organizing 2 advocacy campaigns, spearheading consulting projects to improve environmental policy on statewide lead testing and exposure, launching a new podcast, and hosting professional development events and panels. Peyton's impact extends beyond the specific results HPSA achieved this year. To best illustrate Peyton's impact and leadership, I'd like to share a quote from a HPSA board member. Peyton fostered an environment rich with ideas and support such that everyone on the executive board and the organization as a whole felt welcome to share their ideas and offered her support towards making that goal a reality. All around, she was one of the best leaders I have known at my time at the School of Public Health, and I'm excited to see where she continues to invest her leadership skills. Peyton, on behalf of the School of Public Health, it is my pleasure to recognize you with this year's Student Leader of the Year Award.
Congratulations, Peyton. And now we'll honor 2 winners of the Eugene Feingold Excellence in Diversity Award. The School of Public Health's Eugene Feingold Excellence in Diversity Award helps celebrate the legacy of a public health leader and social activist, Eugene Feingold. Feingold was a professor of health management and policy and was active in community organizations concerned with civil liberties, poverty, and racial discrimination. The award recognizes and honors faculty, staff, and students who champion diversity efforts throughout the school and contribute positively to an environment of inclusion. Enrique Neblett, professor of health behavior, health education, and associate faculty lead for diversity, equity, and inclusion, will recognize our Feingold Excellence in Diversity Award winners.
Thank you, Dean Bowman. I am honored to recognize the recipient of this year's Faculty Feingold Award, Dr. Cleopatra Howard Caldwell. Dr. Caldwell is a professor and chair of the Department of Health Behavior and Health Education, where she has been a faculty member for nearly 25 years. As chair, Dr. Caldwell has focused on increasing diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, efforts across the department, supporting activities that engage issues around social justice and encouraging staff and students to speak up, offer suggestions, and lead DEI efforts themselves. Much of the work she has supported and empowered has been replicated by other departments at the university, including a book club, film series, and a forum for difficult conversations. Dr. Caldwell has long invested in creating a diverse pipeline of public health professionals. She helped establish and served as director of the Center for Research on Ethnicity, Culture, and Health, one of the first research centers in any school of public health to recognize the importance of the emerging field of racial and social inequalities. She has been a critical mentor for the Paul B. Corneli Postdoctoral Fellowship Program to increase underrepresented scholars in the field of public health. And she was director of the Michigan Future Public Health Leaders Program, which has trained over 350 students from underrepresented groups and resulted in dozens of participants being admitted into our graduate programs. Dr. Caldwell's desire to enhance the inclusive social vibrancy of the department and school is consistent with the spirit of the Feingold Award. Dr. Caldwell, on behalf of the School of Public Health, it is my pleasure to recognize you with this year's Eugene Feingold Excellence in Diversity Award. Next, I'd like to recognize the recipient of this year's Student Feingold Award, Brandon Bond. Brandon is an MPH student studying health behavior and health education and serving in a variety of critical roles that promote DEI both in the school and elsewhere at the university. As a member of the Public Health Student Association, Brandon led the creation of events to bring people together and support student mental health. He proposed to school leadership the idea of your home base, a formal system of connecting students across departments in small cohorts at a time when connection was difficult due to the pandemic. Brandon has collaborated with the school to develop new student supports and academic success workshops, and volunteers as an admissions ambassador, where he shares with prospective students his experiences as a BIPOC and first-generation university student. Brandon serves the community as a member of several committees and programs at the school and university that promote DEI. He also serves as the LSA, Dean's Office DEI Graduate Student Staff Assistant, where he works on initiatives to ensure better health and wellness for BIPOC and LGBTQ+ students. In everything he does, Brandon advocates for the improved health and well-being of others. In doing so, he advances the ideals of the Feingold Diversity Award and the mission of the school to improve public health. Brandon, on behalf of the School of Public Health, it is my pleasure to recognize you with this year's Eugene Feingold Excellence in Diversity Award.
Congratulations, Dr. Caldwell and Brandon. Thank you for all that you do for our school community. Each year, students speak at our ceremony on behalf of the entire graduating class. This year, we're proud to have a speaker from each degree level in our school. We'll begin with our bachelor's degree speaker. It is my pleasure to introduce Sanya Farouk.
Thank you, Dean Bowman. Dear class of 2021, I still remember our first day of orientation at the School of Public Health. We got chalas for lunch and it was served in room 1680. I came to this program only knowing one person, and I sat with her during that time. A few minutes later, our table was full of friendly new faces. As we ate, we exchanged stories about our ethnic moms cooking and spoke about how excited we were to start this program. It was the first time I had felt such an uplifting and familial connection to people that I barely knew. It was like I had known them my entire life. I soon found that this did not only apply to the small group of new classmates, but to our whole cohort. During my first 2 years of college, I lacked a sense of belonging and purpose. Amongst the large campus and thousands of people, I often felt isolated and in some ways unwelcome. The School of Public Health filled this gap by introducing me to lifelong friends and colleagues who are always willing to lend a helping hand. Michigan Public Health is one of the few communities that I have found where people continue to empower each other each and every day. While the last year has been different to say the least, I believe that we are blessed to have started this journey in person. We were able to build such a thoughtful community. Our program has shaped us to not only be leaders and the best, but to be public servants who uplift unheard voices. Moreover, this last year has shown us how resilient we are. COVID-19 has shaken the entire world. Whether you are studying public health or not, it is clear to see the tremendous amount of loss and change that has transpired. For us undergraduates, we missed many of the in-person experiences of our senior year due to the pandemic. However, I believe that COVID-19 has made us stronger public health leaders who understand how to navigate severe adversity. It has turned us into those who seek out individuals hurt the hardest and learn how to address inequities by meeting people where they're at. Through all of this, I have seen you all demonstrate an unparalleled amount of compassion. Leaving Michigan Public Health, I know one thing for certain. We will make an impact to better this world. Our cohort continues to empower, uplift, and hear the stories of each other and also of those who are the most underserved. Public health is a space where we can come together, share our journeys, and find solace. Whether we end up in medical school, a master's program, or in an agency, we will always be a part of the Michigan public health community as we strive to be the advocates that this world needs. The love I feel for our cohort runs deep, and I know we will always be a caring community. With this, I say congratulations. We have become resilient advocates and strong individuals who will continue to impact every person we meet. I cannot wait to see what our journey holds for us. Congratulations to the class of 2021. We made it.
Thank you, Sonia, for sharing those reflections. I agree that this class of 2021 is resilient and destined to make a difference. And now we recognize our first group of graduates. On behalf of the faculty of the School of Public Health, it is my pleasure to present the candidates for the Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science degrees.
Bachelor of Arts, Iza Miraj Ahmed Ghani, Tamara Dalia Ajour, Kamran Astani, Marnie Sloan Balamut, Chloe Bryant Barbera, Dunya Blagojevic, Jenna Bloom, Bria Lynn Bush, Emily Yin Chong, Morgan Delyn Cooley, Kennedy Edwina Dubose, Gabriela Marie Gonzalez, Emily Sue Gua, Hannah Hamilton, Jonathan Emil James, Luma Kakarli, Jacob Frederick Kodrowski, Kate Elizabeth Kurlansky, Catherine Melissa Labe, Catherine Alyssa Lewis, Carrie Michelle Lindquist, Megan Mary Lydon, Catherine Pamplona Marudo, Allison Meyer, Suad Mahamud, Maya Mok, Ihunanya Ugoma Murako, Vaishali Nambiar, Haley Marie Rao, Alejandro Damian Rivas, Shayna M. Roble, Maxwell Stewart Reiner, Grace Elizabeth Sletter, Leodin Solomon, Elena Dale Swift, Blaine Thomas Tehan, Morgan Iris Totten, Anjali Vaishnav, Soa Vaziri, Claire Elizabeth Volkert, Emma Catherine Volkert, Nia B. Watkins, Courtney Paulette Young. Bachelor of Science, Angie Hassan Achkar, Frost Ahmed, Ronnie Alvarez, Elias Kitima Asfal, Emily Benedict, Sophie Ray Blasberg, Inu Cho, Julia Elizabeth Duffy, Sonia Farah Farouk, Nicholas Ermal Faulkner, Christopher J. Floyd, Bianca Nicole Gita, Sydney Marie Gurecki, Liza Halstead, Isabella Grace Hayes, Safa Haidarzadeh, Sarah Shane Jang, Afra Kamal, Samantha Grace Castleman, Noreen F. Khan, Ivana Krizat, Emily Hope Kiernan, Leah Renee King, Swathi R. Kamarivelli, Madeline Jordan Cooper, Tess Eve Luson, Joita Farana Macfield, Pradyush Mahapatra, Adeline Morris, Vidisha Reddy Naini, Scott Orlov, Ravi Sanjay Patel, Peyton Shea Patterson, Chloe Cyrene Pulaski, Carmelita Perrin Nacarado, Cecilia Rivette, Catherine Georgina Ann Rogers, Rebecca Shannon Rush, Neela Nadine Sabet Fakhri, Maggie Shayna Sanders, Claire Sandler, Jordan Kendall Silar, Anna Michelle Stabnick, Renata Cavazzani Terrazon, Caroline Grace Tui, Hadley Elizabeth Wallace, Asia Kiara White, Yeriel Young, Mei Mei Yao, Wintong Zhao.
Now we have our second student speaker of the evening. Representing students earning master's degrees, I'm proud to introduce Hassan Azar, who is among our first cohort of online MPH alumni, to address his fellow graduates.
Thank you, Dean Bowman, faculty and staff of the School of Public Health for inviting me to speak today. In trying to find meanings in the events of the past year, I've been thinking about how Isaac Newton was prompted by a falling apple to develop a theory that changed how we see the world. It reminds me that it's possible to find inspiration when it's least expected. And today I encourage you to see the pandemic as a metaphorical apple, motivating us to improve how the world experiences public health. When considering how our world is being shaped by the pandemic, we must remember that the gift of a falling apple is letting it inspire us, critically observing it while it falls in order to find meaning. Before the apple actually stopped its journey, Newton was already connecting actions to reactions. He was developing an understanding of things that others could not see. And today, this pandemic is the aha moment for each of us, driving us to think about what public health could be and what it should be. Newton saw what was possible in the midst of uncertainty, and I am sure that each of us has taken a lesson from this crisis to think about better ways to promote and protect the health of the public. I know that you are not waiting for this apple to hit the ground before you start applying the lessons of the past year. By this point, many of you have either made a mark fighting the virus or you're ready to turn your observations into plans and actions. We can imagine the change that is necessary, what needs to be created, modeled, taken apart, and now is the time to act. And as students, we have learned about theories and formulas and methods. And over the past year, we've also had a real life case study unfold right in front of us. And like the good students we are, we have been taking notes about what we've observed. So what did you learn? What would you do different if you were the ones making the decisions? What would you change or stop doing? And did this falling apple hit hard enough to change the way you think? I bet it did. I imagine that while this pandemic, this apple, accelerated towards the ground, you were already critically observing how it separated from the branch, spun through the air, and impacted everything around it. I bet you are already inspired, like Newton, to find meaning and opportunity in it. And we, the students of this crisis, are going to be the heroes that prevent the next one. We are ready to apply what we've learned in lectures, labs, the library, and of course in Zoom, to start shaping the delivery of healthcare and the promotion of health around the world. Now is our time to protect and promote the health of everyone, everywhere. It is our calling to prepare for the next global health challenge with the grit and resolve of a Wolverine. Newton's apple is still falling and asking us to be inspired by it. So how will you look at the events of the past year and take action to make meaningful, lasting change? Maybe you will let the apple actually hit the ground, or better yet, you will catch it and redirect its path. And after all that you have seen, like Newton, I'm sure that you'll be able to help the world understand this complicated year and become a catalyst for a healthier future. Many of you will soon be shaping how public health will be delivered. You will not sit back and wait for something to happen again. No, you will zealously define and create a new path for public health. And someday, a class of graduating public health students will look at your work, see the impact that you have made, and thank you for the healthier world you have created. Congratulations, class of 2021.
Thank you, Hassan. What a vivid message for our graduates to consider. And leaving them with the question, what will all of you do with the apple in your hands? Now we present our master's degree graduates. On behalf of the faculty of the School of Public Health, it is my pleasure to present the candidates for the following degrees: Master of Public Health, Master of Health Informatics, Master of Health Services Administration, and Master of Science.
Master of Public Health, Noor Fuad Abu Gaida, Iman Maya Ahmed, Bono Ahmed, Caitlin Akel, Ryan Al-Adrisi, Lise Marie Alicia, Emma Allman, Chase Michael Anderson, James Mark Anderson, Max Ansorge, Humira Anwari, Samantha Apsley, Heather Dawn Otto, Hassan B. Azar, Samir Baig, Farid Barket Ramos, Kelly Jo Bedner, Farhana Begum, Quetzabel Benavides, Melanie Berendt, Sarah Elizabeth Bergholtz, Carl Berkheimer, Taylor Ann Bernstein, Nathaniel Bladecki, Helen Vasiti Marcella Blom, Joshua Bozeman, Maya Boyle, Maylin Clark Bramer, Elizabeth Joyce Brines, Casey Britz, Kelly Browen, Nivea Brown, Elizabeth Brueggemann, Eris Chanel Bryant, Neha Niraj Butch, Cameron Burnett, Giovanna Maria Buttazzoni, Amir Carter, Guadalupe Reina Cervantes, Samita Shabal, Sijin Chu, Wana Chun, Nathan Clayton, Ben Collins, Alexis Collins, Rebecca Copeland, Yasmin Cross, Christopher Scott Crow, Hillary E. Curry, Hanadi Adele Das, Anthony Dang, Emily Ann Delmonico, Tanner Durr, Devin Jordan Drayman, Matthew Rashid Dunn, Laura Dishlevsky, Lauren Eby, Amani Danielle Eccles, Alexandra Engler, Lexi Estelle Frank, Patricia Elizabeth Calogero Freeland, Kyra Camille Elizabeth Freeman, Aaron Michael Frutos, Michaela Fry, Courtney Nicole Funk, Sarah Christine Gallagher, Caitlin Louise Gertman, Kamal Javil, Paula Guro, Max Gutierrez, Alexis R. Gatilla, Sarah Hammond, Akina Harper, Chanel M. Harvey, Sam Matthew Hawkins, Erica Elizabeth Hernandez Barba, Catherine Hazelschwert, Ruby Hickman, Alexander M. Hines, Matthew T. Hollowell, Batsheva Honig, Tron Bao Huyen, Marisa Ayadarosa, Samira Danielle Isaac, Nicole Isaacson, Muhammad Rizal Islam, Asia Island, Malak A. Ismail, J. James Gist, Juan Carlos Haraji, Sarah Javade, Sarah Jednak, Quentin Shaitik Jenkins, Mengdi G, Nihanda Jones, Carly Ann Joseph, Eskra Kase, Ani Siran Kazanjian, Mary Frances Carney, Jonathan A. Kim, Adrian Klein, Sarah Knapp, Dave Coble, Jameson Coman, Adam Stephan Kolipara, Samantha Lee Korsinski, Alexandra Mary Belinki Kriski, Janice Kwan, Usa Guan, Stephanie Lenga, Kathleen Tiffany Q. Lee, Anderson Lee IV, Anastasia Lesage, Ye Lee, Kathleen McCoy Lindsay, Andrew Zong Liu, Tori Lowy, Christian Lumage, Carrie Lee, Elizabeth McDonald, Sierra McEachran, Melissa McLeod, Cheney Angelina Manarin, Emma Cheryl Manuel, Taylor K. Marks, Ali Aaron Martin, Abir Mansour Ahmadbouli, Emily Lauren McDonald, Madeline McDonald, Kwame Ezel McGlory, Andrea Rachel McGowan, Keegan McGuire, Ryan David McIntosh, Marcus Lateef McKay Jr., Taylor Leanne McLeod, Stephanie Meckham, Lisa Mai, Nahaya Shanique Minchin, Marina Angela Malad, Jess Miller, Nicholas Darrell Miller, Shelby Marissa Minas, Yunsa Mock, Mackenzie Brooke Moore, Riley Sue Moore, Ashley Murphy, Emily W. Nagy, Shireen Nasser, Richard L. Needleman, Sloan Newsill, Meg Normand, Daisy Okpa, Irene Opoku Achampong, Lexi Monet Ornalis, Stephanie Ortiz Chavez, Alex Sierra Ostrander, Kelly Page, Payal Patel, Casey Patnode, Miranda Poloff, Chethan Prakash, Delaney L. Preston, Christine Priori, Kaylin Rathburn Smith, Caitlin M. Rao, Megan Rice Raymer, Megan Reynolds, Kira Ribb, Adrian Rodriguez Banuelos, Emilio Mendoza Ronquillo, Christopher Rudsky, Kaylee Elizabeth Rumfelt, Michael Elias Sacchetti, Emily Ann Shopwalker, Mitchell Joseph Schrank, Kyung Min Siuk, Elsie Serrano, Fatima Hamid Shafiq, Emma Scher, Elizabeth Slocum, Madeline Justine Summers, William Southern, Elizabeth Stenzel, Leona Eureka Stocky, Danielle Rachel Tiana Stone, Nicholas Samuel Stryker, Kira Sullivan, Sriram Swaminathan, Andrea Beatrix Taran, Jamal Kenyatta Tarpe, Hauja Tien, Gwendolyn Tidoff, Somitra Tiwari, Sarah Adele Tresetter, Carly Truitt, Joshua Ellis Tucker, Ashley Tutwiler, Eni Ubong, Jasmine Azriel Valdez, Catherine Ann Vanderwood, Casey Dale Vaughn, Sandra Vidal, Serene Waletsky Nazal, Penny Warmanen, Emma Waters, Austin Whitted, Blair Whittington, Heather Lynn Williams, Nia Willis, Olivia Yancey, Danting Yang, Bella Shinchi Yin, Christina Young, Elizabeth Roundtree Zabst, Lichi Zhang, Yuan Zhang, Pei Zhou, Courtney Zott, Kayua Zhou, Julio Cesar Zuniga Moya, Master of Health Informatics, Jacqueline LaRae Adams, Mateo M. Alvin, Sumra Alvi, Ejke Anusim, Karen Marie Bates, Ashley Beals, Abinith Bott, Neha Bomia, Bria Braswell, Hermione Sophia Carr, Christian Casanova, Shinyoung Chung, Christopher A. Coriano, Brandon Clark Cummings, Galia Ezzedine, Catherine Garrison, Noah Mahmoud Ghanam, Shannon M. Goulet, Ahmad Ismail Hassan, Fernando Harans, Benjamin Su, Charlie Huang, Shi Ting Huang, Saba Ibrahim, Mingdi Ji, Nadia Maria Karizat, Lawrence Catanyoleka, Jimmy Lee, Mai Nua Lee, Gracia Macias, Jonathan Martindale, Stephanie Meckham, David Josu Molina, Rachel Nagari, Tabassum Nisha, John Joseph O'Malley, Lillian Opemipo Ojo, Helen Yunju Pan, Neil Shashikan Patel, Pooja N. Patel, Rayan Patnaik, Dolapo Raji, Faith Marone Reynolds, Stephanie Veronica Schumann, Tanvi O'Neill Shaw, Caress Taylor, Emily Trumpauer, Wendy Umbriac, Daniel Vasquez, Taya Michelle Villafy, Payan Wang, Master of Health Services Administration, Stephen R. Addington, Dorian Imani Ballard, Minnie Chalil, Jose Gutierrez, Megan Demetrian Davis, Jessica Doan, Mary Regina Gonzalez, Clark Robert Fisher, Matthew Flannery, Nicholas Cale Jamil Fletcher, Jeffrey Archard Gam, Kimberly Grayor, Chelsea Grimm, Colin Philip Gross, Faith Rebecca Heron, Batsheva Honig, Jada Michelle Irving, Matthew Jersaw, Cassidy Brooke Johnson, Madiha Ali, Eric Kim, Samuel Anthony Kozinski, Audrey Lau, Yihan Lee, Geeta Maliakal, Juhi Sanjay Metha, Tori L. Melendez, Michael Gregory Mahalski, Tanisha Rajkumar Mittal, Rita Murad, Colby Overfelt, Madeline Adriana Peters, Shrutika Pochampali, Brandon James Putz, John Solomon Rhodes, Imani Juliana Rickerby, Cameron Bryson Rollin, Ramsey Ramadan, Kylie Ann Schaefer, Natalie Sergey, Shreya Shruti Shaw, Melissa Renee Sharpstein, Shivani Ranga Shetty, Neil Raj Sakand, Jonathan Tessima, Mariah Tout, John Michael Tranfalia, Tanner Vincent, Yamani Rakia Vinson, Master of Science, Rowan Achar, Arjun Adapa, Aya Sajo Ali, Khalid Al-Shabani, Alec Bernard, Grace Narelle Bosma, Nayan Both, Rishi Chandaraj, Ilu Chin, Yishin Chen, Juno Cho, Kusong Shui, George Chalak, Michael P. Combs, Olivia Jane Conway, Nicole Kirchie, Leah D. Delaney, Weena Akechiku, Christine Lee Franco, Christopher M. Fung, Ronald Gavidia Romero, Assad Ghafoor, Shailene Hu, Valerie Gunchik, Geeta Gupta, David P. Harris, Nicholas Eric Harrison, Nicholas George Hartman, Shinwei Her, Matthew Henry, Cindy Su, Miriam Hu, Tiffany Youngshin Hu, Yuan Huang, Ralph Liao Jiang, Linyi Jin, Tasha Nicole Kaiser, Janet Kendrevis, Suchi Ki, Toby Philip Keeney Bonthrone, Charles Albert Kalin, Jenny Kim, Sahithi Kohli, Wei-Sin Kwang, Madeline Duncan Quickless, Alan Lee, Shinyun Lee, Shinmonga Lee, Yatin Lee, Sin Lee, Jaewon Lim, Zukai Lin, Chua Leo, Jasmine Alexandria Mack, Anthony Robert Mack, Brendan McCracken, Elizabeth Manji McMahon, Courtney Sawyer Morgan, Jeffrey Okamoto, Nathaniel Caleb Osher, Zanji Oyong, Suan Park, Molly Pashal, Yujia Peng, Margaret Helene Prentice, Shomik Perkayazda, Carolina Mercedes Ramirez Vizcarrondo, Jiala Rin, Avinley Rickerson, Peter Sasalos, Ichen C., Ryan Elizabeth Sohaney, Melinda Song, Needy Sukul, Yushin Soon, Nathaniel R. Snitzertaub, Lena Trung, Junior Uduman, Yusia Umimira, Mark T. Vanderloot, Chong Wong, D. Wong, Mukai Wong, C.D. Wong, Marianthi Wank, Sydney C. Warner, Douglas Workman, Kendrick Jarnell Williams, Edmund Papke Wooldridge, Tian Shi, Kangping Yang, Chinyi Yu, Guanghao Zhang, Leio Zhang, Bangyo Zhao, Peyo Zhao, Emily Nicole Zutlin, Litian Zhu.
Each year, our graduates leave our community with new knowledge, new training, and new insights, and are prepared to go out and meet the challenges of a dynamic world. The instruction they receive from our talented faculty and graduate student instructors is integral to our students' evolution. Our two final awards of the night honor members of our community for their teaching. The strength of the instruction at the School of Public Health is evident in our talented and engaged graduate student instructors. I am pleased to announce that this year's recipient of the Outstanding Graduate Student Instructor Award is Molly Carter, a doctoral student in the Department of Nutritional Sciences. I'd like to introduce master's degree graduate Elizabeth Zabst, who will illustrate Molly's impact.
Thank you, Dean Bowman. Molly's accessible and responsive nature was critical to helping students adapt to remote learning. And as a practicing registered dietitian, Molly brought perspectives and helped develop activities that allowed course material to be translated into dietetics practice. Here are a few comments that my fellow student nominators shared about Molly. From a fellow PhD student, my background is in social science, so learning about biological mechanisms was outside of my intellectual comfort zone. Molly not only helped me learn the material, but also inspired a genuine enthusiasm and passion for the subject. From a master's student in nutritional sciences, Molly is incredible at breaking down vague questions about the biochemistry pathways and turning them into tangible, digestible discussions. She spent time helping me visualize the concepts I was stuck on, and she sent me back to my notes or resources on areas where I lacked knowledge rather than supply me with easy answers. And from an undergraduate student in public health, Molly's perspectives were inclusive of body size and culture, which I appreciated in the context of food and diet content. I am considering a career in nutritional sciences, and Molly's knowledge and clear passion for nutrition were inspiring and encouraging. Molly, on behalf of the School of Public Health, it is my pleasure to recognize you with this year's Outstanding GSI Award.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and congratulations once again, Molly. Now I'd like to recognize our recipient of the annual Excellence in Teaching Award. It is a distinct honor to announce the recipient, Dr. Gary Harper, a professor of health behavior and health education. I'd like to introduce bachelor's degree graduate, Catherine Lewis, who will highlight Dr. Harper's work.
Thank you, Dean Bowman. Dr. Harper's role in designing and implementing the School of Public Health's first ever undergraduate degree program in public health is only one testament to his commitment to teaching. Gary's a champion for underrepresented students and creates learning environments where issues of race, sexuality, income, and other social identities are discussed in an open and critical manner. I want to share some of what the nominators had to say about him as a teacher and mentor. One undergraduate student said, "His insistence that we call him Gary was a breath of fresh air. This set the tone for his course, making sure students felt comfortable being vulnerable as we explored challenging cultural and community issues in his course. He cultivated that environment by acknowledging our shared humanity, reminding us of our autonomy, and genuinely caring about his students." From a PhD mentee who's now teaching at a large research university. As a young, queer-identified man of African-American descent, it is rare to find this kind of mentorship in academia, and yet it is so critical for underrepresented students. I consider myself incredibly fortunate for having had Dr. Harper as my doctoral advisor and mentor for all these years. Gary, on behalf of the School of Public Health, it is my pleasure to recognize you with this year's Excellence in Teaching Award.
Thank you, Catherine, and congratulations once again to Dr. Harper. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our third and final student speaker of the evening. Holly Hartman, graduating with her PhD tonight, will address her fellow graduates.
Thank you, Dean Bowman, faculty and staff of the University of Michigan School of Public Health, and my fellow graduates. Unprecedented. You may have heard this word in the past year. We say it in conversation, we hear it on the news, We read it in over 500 emails. I did the math. And for good reason. It is the perfect word to describe our situation. We attended school in unprecedented times. Now we are graduating in unprecedented times. And soon we will go out and begin our work as public health professionals in unprecedented times. As a public health community, we have overcome unique obstacles and learned new lessons in the process. Remote learning and working from home are hard, but we were able to make events more accessible for those who have historically been excluded. Conferences, meetings, and even social events have the potential to be more inclusive and accessible than ever before. Social unrest and racial injustice plague our country, but they have brought long overdue attention to the public health implications of racial inequities. In fact, in 2020, racism was declared a public health crisis by the American Public Health Association. The pandemic has highlighted the public health shortcomings, but we have also learned valuable lessons about public health messaging, vaccine development, and disease transmission. In our very own School of Public Health, we have developed the tools to bring these lessons to the public. Our work has ranged from mental health to mask effectiveness to TV messaging. The lessons we learn from these unprecedented times are not limited to public health practice. We also learned about ourselves. We struggled, pushed ourselves mentally and sometimes physically beyond what we believed possible. And from this, we learned. We learned we are capable of so much more than we thought. We learned that connecting with others is vital to our well-being. We learned that when faced with seemingly insurmountable barriers, we can creatively problem solve and overcome challenges. We learned that when our community is struggling, we can be leaders and organizers to help those in need. As we graduate, we have a choice. We can let the state of the world overwhelm us, or we can remember the challenges we have already overcome and feel confident that we can do again. It is now our responsibility to take our unprecedented lessons and apply them in this unprecedented world. We are resilient. Public health has moved to the center stage over this last year, and we are prepared to play our part. Regardless of the next step in our individual journeys, the knowledge we gained during our time at the University of Michigan's School of Public Health will springboard our bright futures as individuals, as a public health community, and as a world. Let's be the bright light that shines in this world. As we graduate today, the time has come for us to be compassionate stewards of public health, revolutionary thought leaders, and unprecedented. Congratulations to all the 2021 graduates, and forever go blue.
Thank you, Dr. Hartman. Your words about creative problem solving in the face of unprecedented challenges should stay with us always. Now we present our doctoral degree graduates. On behalf of the faculty of the School of Public Health, it is my pleasure to present the candidates for Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Public Health. We will also highlight each graduate's dissertation title.
Christy Allgood, Equal Protection Under the Law, the Measurement of Structural Racism and Health Disparities. Farah Amos, Effects of DNA Methylation on Cardiovascular Disease, Target Organ Damage, and Their Risk Factors in African Americans. Pariah Ashraf, Metal Exposure During Pregnancy, Trend Predictors, Associations with Birth Outcomes, and the Modifying Effect of Maternal Psychosocial Stress. Shanice D. Battle, Power, Place, and Mental Health, Pathways Between Neighborhood Vulnerability and Depressive Symptoms. Michael Booth, Cognitive Impairments in Immune-Mediated Inflammatory Diseases, Findings from the Health and Retirement Study. Tracy Lynn Carson, The Culture and Consequences of Low Energy Availability in NCAA DI Female Distance Runners, a Mixed Methods Investigation. Amber Lee Cathy, Phthalate Exposures and Hormonal Disruption in Relation to Birth Outcomes. Yincheng Chao, Estimation Methods in Clinical Trial Design in Small N, Sequential Multiple Assignment Randomized Trials. Khalil Shadid, Multi-Drug Resistant Organisms, Preventing Acquisition in Multiple Organism Colonization and Infection and Preventing Transmission in the Environment. Zhongsheng Chen, Statistical Methods for Aggregation of Sequence Data and Multiple Testing Correction in Common and Rare Variant Analysis. Cristobal Cintron Vargas, Breast Cancer in Women, Incidence, Mortality, and Treatment Management in Puerto Rico. Ellen Margaret Davis, GLP-1 Regulation of Metabolism and Inflammation in a Preclinical Sepsis Model. Peter DeYoung, Using Prospective Illness Surveillance Data to Quantify, Characterize, and Mitigate the Risk of Childcare-Associated Respiratory Disease. Tran Thu Don, Universal Depression Screening for Adolescents in Primary Care, Examining Effectiveness and Preferences Using Health Decision Modeling. Leon Espira, Evaluating Objective Biological Measures to Characterize Enteropathogen Exposure. Michelle Anna Maria Falkenbach, The PRR in Government. The Effect of the Populist Radical Right on Health Policies in Western Europe. Dana Brooke Felker, Protein Interactions in Cytochrome P450 Multiprotein Complexes. Jason Brian Gibbons, Competition, Adherence, and Disparities in the Medication-Assisted Treatment Market for Opioid Use Disorder. Tian Gu, Statistical Methods to Incorporate External Summary-Level Information into a Current Study. Holly Elizabeth Hartman, Bayesian Methods for Smart Designs with Re-randomization based on a continuous outcome and estimating survival outcomes when COVID-19 is a competing risk in cancer patients. Hui Hao, Some Statistical Methods for Causal Mediation Pathway Analysis. Bradley Edward Ayatt, Social Determinants of Health Screening Implementation, a multi-method investigation to bridge clinic and community to improve healthcare outcomes. Kara Bess Janus, Assessing the Performance of Immunization Services in Sub-Saharan Africa, Timing and Completion Matters. John Kubali, Severe Illness Associated with Respiratory Viruses, Burden and Temporal Dynamics. Natalie Lambrecht, Understanding the Role of Livestock Ownership on Anemia Among Young Children in Ghana. Samantha Rose LePaine, Spatial and Temporal Protein Oxidation and Redox Signaling in Mechanisms of Structural Birth Defects. Ziying Lei, Single Particle Physical and Chemical Characterization of Atmospheric Aerosol Particles. Andrew Inyang Leo, Statistical Methods for Analyzing Population-Scale Genomic and Transcriptomic Data. Nina Brooks Masters, Understanding the Resurgence of an Eliminated Disease, Spatial, Attitudinal, and Regulatory Factors Underlying Measles Outbreaks in the Post-Elimination Era. Carolyn Francis McCabe, Fetal Epigenetic Reprogramming, Evaluating the Role of Exposure to Maternal Dietary Metabolites and Bisphenols. Amel Omari, The Health Benefits of Educational Attainment and Citizenship for Racialized Migrants to France. Meredith Petty, Air Pollution Epidemiology to Support Environmental Regulations and Policies. Adam Peterson, Statistical Methods for Analyzing the Built Environment. Julia Porth, Internal Migration in Kenya, Implications for Maternal and Child Health. Christine Ann Regal, Perinatal Lead, PB, Exposure's Effects on DNA Methylation and Hydroxymethylation and Risk of Adverse Neurodevelopmental Outcomes. Monica Moon Shu, examining the complex relation between sleep problems and chronic kidney disease. Yinye Su, Bayesian methods in high-dimensional sparse mediation analysis. Kelly A. Speth, developing new statistical methods for challenges in evaluating dynamic treatment regimes. Amanda Stanhouse, privacy self-management in healthcare, a means to many ends. Christopher Stojanovsky, systems science approaches to visualize, model, and explore stigma's role in socially patterning HIV risk among gay, bisexual, and other men who have sex with men, GBMSM, in Europe. Ming Tong, new statistical learning methods for evaluating dynamic treatment regimes and optimal dosing. Daniel Bryan Thiel, a crisper view of human genome editing in the 21st century. Erica Twardzik, optimizing post-stroke functioning, using mixed methods to understand the role of built and social environments for physical activity, quality of life, and lived experience. Melanie Danielle Ward, health equity promotion, measurement, and evaluation in community-based participatory research partnerships. Joshua Weinstock, statistical methods for large-scale genetic analyses. Gregory Zajac, methods and applications for collection, contamination estimation, and linkage analysis of large-scale human genotype data. Zhengchen Zhao, genetic association and prediction methods for biobank data. Yingchao Zhong, novel statistical methods for restricted mean survival time and patient preference augmented dynamic treatment regimes in observational studies. Nina Zhao, synthetic data sharing and estimation of viable dynamic treatment regimes with observational data. Yuang Zhao, some statistical learning methods for procuring individualized treatment rules in personalized healthcare.
One of the highlights each year at graduation is a faculty salute for our graduates. Your time at Michigan Public Health was not supposed to be easy. You were meant to be challenged and to grow. Our faculty and their lessons are at the center of this. And while they approach instruction with zeal and exacting standards, it is nothing compared to the pride they feel for you tonight. Here now is a faculty salute to the class of 2021.
When you arrived at the School of Public Health for orientation, we saw your smiles, witnessed your excitement, and saw you jump for joy.
You had to adjust and cope with life as a student in a pandemic.
For many of you, the majority of your experience at the School of Public Health unfolded in a way that you could not have imagined.
But you, our 2021 graduates, you chose optimism. You got to work, and you discovered in the darkest of days, public health provided a light.
You met each challenge, transformed from students into experts, and realized the promise of our pursuit of a healthier world for all.
This doesn't mean the road was always easy. It just means you never gave in. That's the spirit of public health, and that's the spirit that you embody, graduates.
Graduates, your time has come. You have embraced uncertainty, persevered in ambiguity, and thrived. Now, here's my final message for you all. Focus on the long term. That doesn't mean there won't be quick wins, but in public health, change comes in years, not days. Work with others. Public health is a team sport. Build a strong coalition and strong connections with communities you are serving. Start with the network you formed here at the School of Public Health. Remain compassionate. We do this work out of love for people, Use that to guide your decisions. Always keep going. Public health is an active term. It requires constant action to work toward health equity. You have worked incredibly hard to get to this point. You have persevered through challenge after challenge. You've chosen to dedicate your lives to improving the health and well-being of your fellow human beings. I cannot think of a greater calling. All of us at Michigan Public Health are so proud of you. We're rooting for you. Congratulations to the class of 2021. Good luck and go blue.